Just hold me tight, no words I needed. No one knows me like you. Love the way you do. Just hold me tight, no words I needed.
How are we doing today? I hope you can hear me okay. If you haven't hit the like, hit it early. Obviously, you can see on the bottom, if you want your message discussed, super chat me, because I can't answer everybody. I wanted to kind of talk about the game that just happened, which was a loss. But I wanted to talk about that. I also wanted to talk about do we really have a good enough squad to go on for the rest of the season? I also wanted to talk about Slot and potentially some of the mistakes he's made in the last couple of games. And then obviously I wanted to talk about the David Ornstein bomber and also Paul Joyce bomb about Kavashkeli. And I also wanted to talk about him, and I wanted to kind of give you some information around him and compare him against some of the players that we've got, and also talk about how this could potentially be something that has got legs and could happen. Yeah, I was on Coppish earlier. That was funny. I was only tuning in, and obviously the Kavashkeli bomb dropped, and I just messaged Carl and just said, I'm here for you, bro. You know how I feel about this guy. And then he just got me involved, which was a good laugh. And then I had to go and then I left and had my tea late. But big up everyone here tonight. If you haven't liked, subscribe, please do. Hopefully waiting for the numbers to pick up. Still only a few in here. I'll do a couple of shout outs while I'm here. A big shout out to Lakers. Hope you're well, mate. Big shout out to Hamza. Also big shout out to James. And also big shout out to Eric. What I will do is, while we're waiting for people to come in, I know there's probably a lot of shows that are ongoing. Also big shout out to Brett. Stick around. I've got loads of stuff to show you. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to basically look at the Liverpool squad and how Slot has been utilising it. So I'm going to look at the Premier League, and then I'm going to look at the whole squad. Okay. And I have some concerns. And I think you should too, which is what I want to cover. All right, big up Mark as well. Hope you're well. So we look at the squad in general. I'm going to go to my main screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the amount of minutes played. So I'm going to highlight that first, and then we can go into it in more detail. Now, the thing that should be a worry to us is we've played 19 games in the Premier League. Let me just double check. Yeah, we have. We played 19 games in the Premier League. I know everyone else has played 20, but we played 19. Okay, so we're almost half. So we're basically halfway through the season. Yeah. Now the issue is Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, and Ryan Gravenberch have played every single game. And if you look at the numbers, they've almost played every single minute in every single game. Yeah. I don't want to say it, but Gravenberch, Salah, and Virgil van Dijk look cooked. They look cooked. Mo Salah looks like every second half of the game he needs to be taken off in the last 3 or 4 games because he looks like he's out of energy and he's been overworked. Ryan Gravenberch has done an insane amount of running, and I will show you the numbers on how much he's covered. And he's never, ever played this much football in his life. Let me just make that clear. In his life, he's never played so much football. I'll just do a couple more shout outs. Big up Adil. Big up Scottish. I just brought another name up then. Was it Scottish? Yeah, it was. And also big up Red Nation. Good to have you in. And Virgil van Dijk now looks like a guy that isn't performing at an optimal pace as he's used to playing. So let me just unpack that. Virgil van Dijk looks like a player that isn't playing the type of football that he wants to play at his pace. He looks overworked. He looks like he's outrun. He looks like he's on the verge of making mistakes. It looks like he's doing too much work because his workload has been too much. Okay? And I understand Virgil, Mo and Gravenberch were rested for 2 games. I understand that. But it's only 2 games they were rested for. They were rested for the West Ham game and they were rested for the Southampton game. They still played the Tottenham game and they still played the Brighton game. And they've also played pretty much all of the Champions League games. There's been no rest. Like, they used to be rested for Champions League games. They used to be rested for cup games. They're not being rested for games anymore. They're being played constantly. And just do another shout out. Big up Lee. Okay, so you've got those 3 guys. Then you have to look at the other players. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and you've got Andy Robinson. 2 of the most poor form players in the team. They're not performing well this season. Trent doesn't look great and Robbo doesn't look great. Okay? I know Trent's got 4 assists and I know he's got a goal in the Premier League. I understand that. Yeah. But the majority of assists were from corners and whatnot. Robbo, nothing. No assists, no goals. Okay? Robbo's been really poor this year. Many mistakes that have led to chances, many mistakes that have led to goals, many mistakes that have led to penalties. We all know Robbo's not played well this season. But Robbo is also playing every single game. We shouldn't even be playing, if you ask me. But he's still playing every single game. Okay? And then you've got McAllister. Like, McAllister has had 2 games rest, which we are so thankful for. If McAllister hadn't have had those bookings, which gave him an automatic ban for 2 games, I don't know where we'd be, because he would have been played. And then you got McAllister cooked, because McAllister would have been on 19 games and he would have played 1,700 minutes and he would have been cooked. And then you got Dominic Szoboszlai, and you're really lucky that Dominic Szoboszlai also got a ban because he's had a rest. But he also had a rest against Manchester United because he was sick. So Dom's going to come back and he's going to be firing, yeah? But he's going to have to, because someone's going to have to come in and cover for Ryan Gravenberch, because he cannot continue to play the amount of games that he is. He can't. That just simply can't happen. And we've got a block of games coming up where we're going to need Virgil, Mo, Gravenberch, Trent, Robbo, McAllister and Dom all playing consistently again. And then you go further down into the squad. You got Luis Diaz, who's played 18 games, but he's only played 1,100 minutes because he's been a substitute quite a bit. He looks okay. He doesn't look cooked. Ibrahima Konate's only played 13 games. He's fine, but he's now coming back into the team, so he's now needs to get match fitness. I do worry about him with a knee brace. I've never seen him with a knee brace before, so that does concern me. And if you played him, and we're playing him against Tottenham, he didn't look great. He didn't look great. He didn't look like he had pace. He got pushed off the ball too easy. Cody Gakpo's coming in. He's only played 990 minutes, so he's looking okay. We can use him more. Ali's obviously Ali. Curtis Jones, he's only played a certain amount of minutes as well, so he's okay. He's also provided 3 goals and 2 assists, which is brilliant. Cody's got 6 goals and 2 assists in the Prem now. Diaz has got 8 and 2. Dom's got 2 and 2. McAllister's 1 and 3. Obviously, Mo's got 18, which is mental, absolutely mental numbers. And obviously, Virgil's on 1. And then you got Darwin Núñez. Don't really want to speak about him, but he hasn't played a lot of Premier League football, by the way. He's got 2 and 2. Queven's played a bit. Jota's played 12 games, but a lot of sub. He's got 4 and 2, 4 goals and 2 assists, more than Núñez, and he's played 150 minutes less, which is mental. Then you got Joe Gomez, who's played 9 games. Tsimikas, that's played nothing. Bradley's played nothing. Quansah's played nothing. Endo's played nothing. Harvey Elliott's played nothing. And this is the conversation we need to have now. Okay, this is the conversation we need to have. And this is what worries me. And I'm going to talk about this. This worries me. And I tell you why it worries me. And it should worry you. Arne Slot doesn't trust his squad. He doesn't trust his squad. And the reason why I say that is he's only played 4 midfielders all season. He's only played 4 midfielders. He's only played Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Jones. And that's it. That's it. If you look at the numbers, Wataru Endo's played 61 minutes. Harvey Elliott played 48 minutes. That's it. They're your other midfielders. And if you look at them, Endo's played 8 games and he's only played 61 minutes. Harvey Elliott's played 7 games and he's only played 48 minutes. He doesn't trust his squad. Kostas Tsimikas, 8 games, 250 minutes. Joe Gomez would not have touched the ball this season if Konate hadn't have got injured. I'm sorry, but it's just a fact. He didn't trust Joe Gomez. He just didn't have a choice. Because he doesn't trust Quansah. Because if you look at Quansah's numbers, 5 games, 228 minutes. Joe Gomez, 9 games, 519 minutes. Joe Gomez would be having about 200 minutes, the same as Quansah, if Konate hadn't have got injured. Federico Chiesa, 1 game. Jayden Danns, no games. James McConnell, no games. Tyler Morton, no games. Trey Ione, no games. He doesn't trust the squad. He hasn't got an issue with the goalkeepers because he didn't have a choice. He had to play Caoimhin Keller because Ali got injured. So he hasn't got a problem with our goalkeepers. He's happy with his goalkeepers. He's only got 3 defenders that he trusts. He's only got 3 defenders that he trusts. He's only got 4 midfielders that he trusts. And he's only got 5 strikers that he trusts. It's not a big enough squad. It's not a big enough squad. I don't care how you cut it. And I don't care what the media say about, oh, look at the bench. The bench looks fantastic. He doesn't play them. He doesn't want to play them. He doesn't want to play Gerald Quansah. He doesn't want to play Wataru Endo. He doesn't want to play Harvey Elliott. He doesn't want to play Kostas Tsimikas. He doesn't want to play Joe Gomez. He doesn't want to play these players. I don't think he wants to play Darwin Núñez, but he hasn't got a choice because Jota got injured. The only players that he's playing are players that he has to play because of injuries. And I'm sorry, but we've only got one injury right now, and we look threadbare. And we look threadbare because the manager doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to play the squad players. He just doesn't want to play the squad players. And I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand why Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk and Gravenberch were playing against Tottenham yesterday. I don't understand why. Please make that make sense. Because you had a Tottenham team that had about 5 players that would never kick a ball for Tottenham in normal games. Like, you had Harvey Elliott. You had Wataru Endo. You know, you had a centre-back in Quansah. You had Konate. You played Konate against Manchester United. Why couldn't you play Konate against Tottenham? Give him game fitness. Like, why did you have to play Virgil van Dijk for another 90 minutes? Like, Mo Salah, did he have to play? You got Federico Chiesa there, who's not kicked the ball. Like, Harvey Elliott's been available since November the 6th. Did you know that? Did you know Harvey Elliott has been fit since November the 6th? Like, he doesn't trust his team. He doesn't trust his players. And we can all sit here and we can all say, oh, he's been given a brilliant team. Look at the team Klopp left him. Well, it looks like Klopp left him about 14 players that he likes, and the rest he probably wants to sell. So Klopp didn't leave him a great team because he doesn't rate them and he doesn't want to play them. He doesn't rate them. He doesn't want to play them. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, cut it how you want. Like, he doesn't rate them. He wants to play 11 players and potentially 3 off the bench. And I'll give you some numbers now. So I'm going to give you some numbers now on the team. Okay. This is a really good way of being able to look at the entire squad, like on the pitch. If you don't use this, I do suggest it because it's a really good website. Can you see it? Can you see that? Okay. Let me just make it a bit. Let me just zoom in so you can see it a bit better. Oh, the hell's just happened there? What's just happened? Oh. Okay, is that better? Can we see that better? Yeah. Okay. Let me just move me out of the way. Okay, there we go. Okay, big up everyone that's in here, by the way. If you do want me to read out your comments and discuss it, then drop me a super chat. Okay, just letting you know, I'm not scabbing for money. You write so much in there that I don't get a chance to comment. So if you really want me to read it out, then drop me a super chat and I'll talk about it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the squad. Okay, so this is the entire squad that he plays. All right, so this is his team that he picks consistently all season. This is the team. Okay, so if you just look at that lineup, you've got Ali, you've got Trent, you've got Konate, you've got Virgil, you've got Robbo, you've got Gravenberch, you've got McAllister, you've got Dom, you've got Cody or Diaz, you've got Mo, and you've got Núñez or Jota. Okay, so let me just break it down. because I don't think we understand that this manager just doesn't want the players that he has. So you've got Ali and you've got so you've got Ali and you've got Queven Keller. He's fine with that. Okay, so Slot's fine with those two players. You've got Trent and you've got Bradley. Slot's fine with those two players. You've got Konate, and that's it. That's it. He doesn't like Gomez and he doesn't like Quansah. Okay, let's just be honest here. Virgil, he's fine with Virgil. He's got no backup for Virgil. He's got no backup whatsoever for Virgil, and Virgil's just getting flogged like a racehorse right now. And then you got Andy Robinson, and that's it. He's not keen on Costas. He's not keen on Costas because he would have played Costas from the start of the season. But Robbo came back and Robbo went straight in, and he's never left. Okay? You got Ryan Gravenberch, and that's it. There's no backup for Ryan Gravenberch. There's no backup. It's Ryan Gravenberch. You got Alexis McAllister, and that's it. There's no backup for Alexis McAllister. You got Dominic Szoboszlai, and then you got Curtis Jones. And he's fine with those. You got Mo Salah, and that's it. There's no alternative. It's Mo Salah. And then you've got Cody Gakpo, and then you've got Luis Diaz. And then you've got Diogo Jota, and then you've got Darwin Núñez, and that's it. Like, there's no rotation with Gravenberch. There's no rotation with Virgil van Dijk. There's no rotation with Konate. There's no rotation with Andy Robinson. There's no rotation with McAllister. Like, we need to just be honest here, because these players don't have anyone that's going to come in and do a job for them, because the manager doesn't trust his squad. He doesn't trust the squad. He doesn't want to play the other players, and he's not playing them. And the numbers are just there. Like, the numbers are just there. It's plain as the nose on your face. And you can see the huge drop-off in numbers when these guys are played. Like, you can just see it. Look, you got your midfielders, you've got Gravenberch, you've got Dom, and you've got McAllister, and that's it. There's no one else. Look, attacking midfield, you got Dom and you got Jones, that's it. You got right wing, Salah, that's it. Left wing, Cody Diaz, that's it. And then forward, Núñez, Jota, Diaz. Diaz only got played there because Jota was injured, and Diaz is probably going to end up going back to left. And then you've got Robbo and Costas. Costas has done nothing. He's played 2 games because Robbo was injured. Like, you know, Quansah's played 1 game. Bradley's played 1 game. Quansah's played 1 game. Gomez has played 6 because Konate was injured. Konate comes back in. There's no midfield rotation. Show me the midfield rotation, because there isn't any. Gravenberch 18, McAllister 16, Jones 2. But Jones only played those 2 because McAllister was probably banned for those 2, so he played. And then you got Dom and Jones rotating. Like, Dom's played 11, Jones has played 7. Jones just covers for Dom or Mac, and that's it. Like, there's just no rotation whatsoever in this squad. And if you think we're going to win the Premier League with 14 players, then you've got another thing coming. Because we ain't winning the Premier League with 14 players. Because we need to rotate and we need to play other players. And it's just not going to happen. You're going to have Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Ryan Gravenberch and McAllister getting injured. You're going to have it happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen because you can't keep on playing these players every single game. And then you're also playing them in Europe and in the Cups now. Like, it's just, like, we all seem to think that he was given this incredible squad when he clearly doesn't rate it. Like, I like Harvey Elliott. I think Endo's a good player. Like, I think those players are good. I like Quansah. I like Joe Gomez. I think Joe Gomez should be our left back. Kostas Tsimikas, I'm not a big fan of. Robinson, we can bin. Like, I'm not a big fan of some players, but I don't see why Harvey Elliott can't rotate with Curtis Jones at the number 10 now. I don't understand why. Like, why does McAllister have to get played every single game? Why does Gravenberch have to get played every single game? Why can't he play Endo for some games? It's just not going to happen. He doesn't want them to. He doesn't like his squad. And he can sit there now and say, oh, I'm happy with my squad. I don't need to sign anyone in January. Well, you've just been told you're not signing anyone in January then. Because you can't be happy with your squad because you're not playing it. Because you're not playing your squad. So you can't be happy with it because you don't play it. If you played your squad, then guess what? You'll be happy with it. And I'm showing you the Champions League team. Champions League team is exactly the same. Look at the numbers. Trent plays all the games. Bradley's played one game. Virgil van Dijk's played every single game. Konate's played every single game. Gomez has played one because he was injured. Andy Robertson and Kostas Tsimikas have split games because Robbo was injured or banned or something. I don't know. McAllister's played every game. Gravenberch has played every game. Jones has played instead of McAllister because he was banned. Dom's played and they've rotated. Cody and Diaz have rotated. Darwin Núñez, Diaz and Jota have all rotated. And guess who's been flogged again? Mo Salah. It's as simple as that. He does not rate the squad. He doesn't think the squad are good enough to play in the games that really matter. Look, I'll show you the League Cup. Look, the League Cup is just there. Queven's played a bit. Ali's played a bit. Jaros has played a bit because it's the League Cup. Bradley's played a lot of games in the League Cup. Trent hasn't because he rates Trent over Bradley. Quance has played. Gomez has played. Virgil's played. Endo's played. There's a lot of rotation in these games because it's the Cup. Doesn't mean as much. It's not as important. Jones, McAllister, Endo, Gravenberch. Even Morton's had a couple of games and Trey Naoni's played as well, which is great. Chiesa's even played. And then you've got Dom, Jones, Jota, Núñez all rotating. But Virgil van Dijk's played, and Mo Salah's played, and Gravenberch has played, and McAllister's played, and Dom's played. You know, Cody, Diaz, Núñez, all these guys have played. Like, did they really need to play in this game? Did they really need to play in this cup? No, they didn't. But he doesn't trust the team. Doesn't trust them. Didn't trust them against Tottenham. We beat Tottenham 6-3 away. You really think we couldn't have got a result if we'd have played some more of the reserve players that weren't goosed? Big up. Thanks for the super chat. If you've got a message you want to write, just pop it in there, mate. Just pop it in the comments, and I'll discuss it. But big up, mate. Introvert audio. Look. I'm not one to be like a burden of bad news or to put a Debbie Downer on our season because we're still top of the league. You know, we're still 6 points clear with a game in hand. We still only lost one game that matters, which is the Nottingham Forest game. Look, we still got all season 5 draws. Sorry, 5 draws, two losses. Pretty incredible. But we can't sit here and not see what's happening. And what's happening is what's happened in the past with Jurgen. Doesn't trust the squad. Doesn't trust the squad. Jurgen didn't trust the squad. Jurgen overplayed players over and over again, flogging them like horses. And eventually, injuries stacked up. Maybe we don't have that problem with injuries because of the backroom staff and the way we do training. But it doesn't mean that the players won't struggle on the pitch, because you can see Gravenberch is goosed. Virgil van Dijk's arguing. Virgil van Dijk looks in stress. He looks troubled. Mo Salah looks tired in games, goes missing. You know, it's all because they're not 100%. They're being played too much. There is too much football happening. There needs to be more rotation, and there hasn't been any whatsoever in the Premier League or the Champions League. None. If we look at the numbers, the rest of the squad that aren't in the first 14 are played 200 minutes, potentially 300 minutes max. That's 3 games, like, off the bench total in substitutions. Like, that's just not enough. Like, that's not giving you guys a rest. That's not rotating when you need to. Like, you don't trust anyone to come on to replace Mo Salah in any game. You don't. You don't trust anybody to replace Virgil van Dijk. You don't trust any of your defenders to replace Virgil van Dijk for even 45 minutes. Like, make that make sense. Like, nobody can come in and do a job for Gravenberch at all for 45 minutes in any game. No. They have to be played consistently. You just don't trust your team. So don't come out and do a press conference and tell us that you're happy with your squad and that you don't need to sign anyone, because you're not telling us the truth. Because you do need to sign players, because you're not playing any of the others, because you don't trust them. And, you know, maybe they're not going to work for you. Maybe they're not guys that you think are going to do a job, but you at least try. Like, you at least give them a game against Tottenham away in the cup. Like, you at least give them a game against, like, Girona away, where it doesn't really matter because you've already qualified. Like, you at least give them an outing, like, bring them off the bench, like, play them a bit. But you don't, because you don't trust them and you don't want them in your team. So sell them and buy some new players. And this is the conversation we need to have. Like, do we need to start selling players? Because it doesn't seem like we're going to get new players unless we get rid of players that we don't want. And we need to start having conversations about players that we think are brilliant, but Slot doesn't. And I'll have to start going through some names. So let's talk about players that maybe Slot doesn't think are good enough. And unfortunately, I'm going to start off with one which I know we like, and I think he's a great player. But I think we maybe have to have a conversation about Harvey Elliott, because Slot clearly doesn't like him. So Harvey Elliott's played 7 Premier League games and he's only been on the pitch for 45 minutes. And he's done nothing. Absolutely nothing. 1 game in the Champions League and he was on the pitch for 15 minutes. This guy's been fit since November. Like, his numbers are astounding in games. Just look at that. He is an absolute monster, I think. But Slot doesn't rate him. Like, he doesn't rate him. Like, if we just look at all competitions this season. So I'm bringing up his numbers. So all competitions this season. Where are we? Why is that? Why is it coming up with South Africa friendlies? Okay, so these are the minutes that he's played. So he got a goal against Southampton. So he played for 90 minutes. So that's one game he's had against Southampton, which obviously won us the game. You know, I know that was important. And then he played against West Ham for 17 minutes in the Premier League. 4 touches in that game. 4 touches. I mean, I can't give you much else. Like, he's 7 games, 48 minutes. He's played 90 minutes in a cup, 1 game, and he got 1 goal. I mean, I can't give you numbers on him because he just hasn't got the numbers. He's played 153 minutes all season. All season, 153 minutes. Like, the game he's played for 90 minutes, he scored the winner. Like, what more do you need to see about the guy? Like, you played him for 90 minutes one time this season, and he scored the goal that won you the game, that got you into the semi-finals, which you lost because you didn't play him. Like, surely that was the game you play him again because he scored you the goal that got you into the quarterfinals in the first place. Sorry, semi-finals in the first place. Like, talk about disrespect. Talk about just not rating the lad. Like, he didn't play him against Tottenham. And the reason why we're playing Tottenham is because of him. And he didn't even get a game. And if anyone deserved to get dropped, it was Curtis Jones because of the stinker against Manchester United. I mean, Trent got dropped because he had a shocker against Manchester United. But he was always gonna rest him anyway because he's his number 1 and Bradley's his number 2. So that was always going to happen. But Curtis Jones didn't need to get played. Why did Curtis Jones have to get played? Like, he could have played instead of Gravenberch. And then Gravenberch could have had a rest. And then Harvey Elliott could have played in the 10. The reason why is because he doesn't rate Harvey Elliott. And Harvey Elliott is probably going to get sold. Harvey Elliott is now linked with Brighton, as someone's just wrote in the chat. And I think he's a potential player that will sell. And now that I'm thinking about it, and I said it on Copish, maybe Harvey Elliott was another player, just like the likes of Carvalho and Sepp van der Berg, that we were going to sell in the window, but he got injured and we couldn't sell him. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. I might be getting 6, but maybe he was another player that we were looking to move on for a high profit because he was never going to be in the team. Because now that he's fit, do you think Slot wants to play him? He's been fit since November. He's been fit for 2 months and he's played 153 minutes. And most of that was in 1 game against Southampton that he scored the winner, and then he's not been played since. Like, I don't get it. Like, answers on the back of a postcard for me, because that's a conversation we need to have now. Because, I mean, I'd be really interested to see what the Brighton link is, because we sell players to Brighton. Like, James Milner and Adam Lallana are at are at Brighton. Well, Adam Lallana's at Southampton now, but they went to Brighton. So we've got a relationship with Brighton. We had a bid accepted for Caicedo from Brighton. So we've obviously got conversations with Brighton. James, if you're right, then I'm willing to sacrifice Harvey Elliott to get Belieber. I'm willing to sacrifice him to get Belieber. And I think Harvey Elliott is a fantastic player. But if you throw him and 30 million for Belieber, I'm all in. I'm all in. This guy is very, very special. Very special. Okay, another player we need to have a conversation about. Okay, so let's go back to the squad. We need to have this conversation. I don't want it because I really rate the guy. I think he's a great squad player to have. But Slot clearly doesn't rate him. And I mean, it's obvious that this guy was earmarked to leave because he was earmarked to go to Marseille. However, we lost a midfielder. We got a midfielder injured. I think it was Curtis Jones got injured. So that scuppered the move for him to leave. And also, I think it was the fact that we didn't have anyone to play in midfield in the pre-season. And it looks like Endo is that guy that's probably going to leave as well. So you need to look at Endo. Like, Endo's had one 90-minute game and he played as centre-back and he was brilliant against Southampton in the quarterfinals. But then he played against Tottenham for 60 minutes. He came on as a sub. He's played 34 minutes against West Ham. We brought him on because we were 5-0 up and we wanted to rest players. And then he's played 4 minutes against Leicester and he's played 2 minutes against Girona. He's clearly not rated by Slot. He's played 61 minutes all season in the Premier League. 61 minutes. He's just not rated. He doesn't rate him. There's not a lot we can say about it because we know that he just rotates 4 players consistently. And he's not in the conversation. It now looks like Endo could be the 4th choice centre-back in the conversation now. Like, it looks like he may start picking Endo ahead of, Quansah or Gomez. I don't know. But for me, Endo should be playing for Gravenberch in games where we can rest him. But he's not because he doesn't rate him. And he talks about he's happy with the squad. No, he's not. He's not happy with the squad because he's not playing anybody. He's not playing anybody. Endo played 29 games last season under Klopp, 1,700 minutes, which is the same as what Mo Salah's got now. So essentially, Endo played the whole of a half of season non-stop. That's what Endo played for us last season. And he's played 60 minutes as a sub. And most of that was in the West Ham game when we were 5-0 up. He doesn't rate Endo. So he might get sold. And now we need to look at other players. So who else could be sold? So we've looked at Endo, we've looked at Elliott. Should we look at Chiesa? Is there any point even looking at Chiesa? Like, Chiesa's played one game, 19 minutes. I mean, is there any point? Like, he's still only 27. But we've now been linked with Kvaratskhelia, and Chiesa could be a swap with money. It makes a lot of sense. He's not played him. He's been available for games, but he's just not played him. So then we also have to look at another guy, Kostas Tsimikas. Like, I mean, Kostas wasn't rated last year. He only played 13 games last season. He got 670 minutes last season. This season, it looks similar. Half a season, 8 games, 254 minutes. If you double that for the whole season, then it's the same as last season. So what are we having this? Are we having this conversation again? Is Kostas Tsimikas going to be another player that gets no game time whatsoever? So why have you got him? Why have you got him? Like, why have you got this guy if you don't play him? Like, he's a 27-year-old Greek international. He played 13 games last season, just under 700 minutes, 3 assists. This season, 8 games, 254 minutes, no assists. You know, what's the point? You might as well sell him. You might as well sell him, take a foreign player off our books, and then replace him with someone. Or play Joe Gomez there. Play Joe Gomez there. Just play Joe Gomez there. I'll big up Jesse. If you haven't subscribed, please do, mate. And if you do, let us know, and we'll all give you a welcome. Let me just do a couple of shout outs. Okay. Big up Joe. Big up Tony. Big up Mark. Big up Lee. Big up Russell. Who else have we got? Big up Mahali. Big up Paulie. Else got big up KK. We are Introvert Audio. Let's read that out. Diaz has done as a left winger at Liverpool, in my opinion. Elliott does not seem to be rated by Slot, maybe due to the trade-off in physical ability when compared to Sobo. I don't disagree with that. You look at last season. Elliott wasn't great tackling. He's not great tackling. He's not great challenging. You do get 100% off Elliott. You do get a lot of work rate. I'm not going to deny that. He's press resistant. He does pass the ball pretty well, and he's also dangerous. He can score goals and he can assist. Like, I haven't got a problem with Elliott at all. He's got a really good cross on him as well. Diaz, for me, I think we should cash in. I do. I think he's high stock. He's 28 soon. He's not going to have a better season than he is right now. And we'll go through his numbers as well, because I wanted to talk about Diaz, because he's heavily linked with Barcelona and Deco wants him. So we can talk about Diaz. But thanks for the super chat and great comment. Big up big up Kono. Anyone else new? Big up John. Big up the Awakened. I think that's it. Cool. If you've got any more, stuff you want me to shout out, let me know, and just drop me a super chat and I'll read out your page. Oh, big up Joe. Thanks for subscribing. If everyone can welcome him, that'd be great. And also big up Bruno. Good to have you here. And big up Bear. Yeah, you're late, but we're going to go over some stuff. And also big up Colin, as always. Good to see you. Yeah, so we were just talking about Kostas. Like, just his numbers are going to be the same as last season. And we all said Klopp didn't rate him and didn't play him enough. Well, it's looking like it's an identical season. He's on 254. He was on 679, just double it. He's going to be roughly the same. And will he get 3 assists? Maybe. I don't think so. I highly doubt it. He wouldn't be taking corners either. It looks like McAllister is taking corners. Also, big up Stephen. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Kvaratskhelia in a bit. You're absolutely right. Like, we are seeing the real Slot where he likes really small squads. But it's not going to work in this league, Colin. It's just not. It's too competitive. You need to have a much fitter squad. You need to have more rotation. You can't throw players in the deep end. You can't just throw them into games and expect them to just be brilliant. It's just not going to work like that. So we also need to look at another player that he clearly doesn't rate, and it's Gerald Conster. So I'm going to look at him in more detail. So, okay, here we go. So this season, 228 minutes and 298 minutes in the Cup. He played 1,200 minutes all season in the Premier League last season. That's almost half. That's just under half a season's worth of games. He's not going to hit that quota at all. I think he's barely going to break 600, which is way less. And this is a guy that's supposed to be developing. So this is a guy that's gone from a breakout season last season when he was 20, a year younger, to a regression season where he's going to play 60% less, and he's also going to play in positions that he's not used to. So he's going to be thrown in as right back in games because he was twice. And I mean, you have to look at it like you really do have to look at this as well, because you've got the squad players that really haven't played a lot of football, and that's the start of the season. So that's in games that maybe don't matter as much. So that's in the likes of, your Ipswich's away and your Southampton's away and, your Leicester's away and, those games that really don't matter that much, and games where we battered teams 5-0, 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, 6-3, and we've been able to rotate and bring players on because we've been winning games with high score lines at the start of the season. Yeah. And also we've rotated in the cup games where they're minimal cup games against the likes of, then we had West Ham, we had Southampton, and we had another team before that. I can't remember who it was. So, and then we're going to probably rotate in the FA Cup as well for the first couple of rounds. Well, the last end of the season, you've got Champions League games that matter. You've got League Cup games that matter. You've got FA Cup games that matter. And you've got Premier League games where you can't rotate. So do you think Gerald's going to play? Do you think Costas is going to play? Do you think Endo's going to play? Do you think Elliott's going to play? Do you think Chiesa's going to play? None of these guys are going to play any games. Gomez isn't going to come in. None of these guys are going to get rotated. Do you think Bradley's going to get much of a rotation? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know whether Bradley's going to play many more games. So you've got these guys that are just not playing football. So what do you do? Well, it's pretty obvious for me, because if they're not going to play football, then you might as well sell them. And you might as well get players in that will play football, that will compete, that your manager has trust in, that your manager sees and goes, you know what? He's not really having a good game right now. I'm going to throw this guy in because I know he'll do a job and I trust him. But he doesn't trust players, doesn't trust the rest of his squad. And this is a problem. This is a problem. Big up, Lee. K-Mac, if we were there to sell the likes of Harvey, etc., do you have confidence that the owners will? I don't. I don't. I'm FSG in. I've been FSG in for a long time because I've always wanted our club to be run well and not being owned by the state, and I don't want that hanging over us. But I agree with you. Will the money be invested? Will you have to look at the money that we made off the previous players that we sold? So you've got the likes of the money we got off Dominic Solanke, the money that we got off the Spanish guy that went to Saudi Arabia. I can't remember his name, but we got money off him as well, like 3 million. We got money off a guy that we sold to a team in Scotland. We got money off Sepp van der Berg. We got money off Carvalho. We made about 60 million, maybe even more. That money got invested in Mamardashvili that cost 26 million and Chiesa that cost 13 million. And then maybe there's a little bit of money left that maybe went on, I don't know, a couple of youngsters. Maybe some of that money's put there for Rio, the guy that we got from Chelsea. Maybe some of that money's been put there for Alvin Alman, who's the guy we got from Wolves. These are kids. Maybe there's money there which we've had to pay out, like for compensation. And maybe there's money that we had to use because we had to pay for the ground because the company went bankrupt and we had to pay another, I think it was 30 million extra on the ground. So maybe we've used that money. Like I don't know whether I don't know whether I can trust the owners to invest the money that we get off Elliott and even Ben Doak. Like that could be I don't know. Well, if you're looking at players that have been sold to Crystal Palace, then Eddie Nketiah went for 30 million. So we could get 25 million for Ben Doak. We could get 25 million for Ben Doak. So if we sold Ben Doak for 25 million, we paid 500,000 for him. That's like a 98.5% profit or something. Like that's just insane. Like you would have to accept that money because that's a huge amount of money, and you don't know whether Ben Doak's going to have another season like that. He might come back to Liverpool and end up not hitting those numbers again. Then we send them out on loan, and it might not work. And that's like just a really high value player who we paid minimal for. So that would make a lot of sense that we sold him. So that money goes into the Mamardashvili money. Okay, sorry, not Mamardashvili, Kvaratskhelia. So if you look at it like that, there's 25 million there. Harvey Elliott, 30 million, 35 million, maybe. Okay, if you're selling him for 35 million, you put that with the Kvaratskhelia money, and then what, you throw Chiesa in as a swap because he's not getting played and he looks homesick. There's your Kvaratskhelia money done. Do you trust the club to do that? I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know. Big up introvert. He had the confidence of Slot at the start, though he does not. So he does have potential. Slot needs to iron out his game. Are you talking about? You're talking about Harvey Elliott. If you're talking about Harvey Elliott, I think you're right, but I also feel that Harvey Elliott could have been a player that was going to be sold with the likes of Carvalho and Sepp van den Berg, but he got injured and that may not happen. Like, I don't know. Look, I'm a massive fan of Slot. Like, I talked about Slot on loads of shows before he came to Liverpool and when he was linked with us. And when he did come to Liverpool, I was backing him up with some of his numbers and talking about like the fact that, you know, he's unproven in the Premier League, but he's done a lot in his time. And I just think that I don't want him to get caught out, and I don't want him to go down the Jurgen Klopp trap where he overplays everybody because he doesn't trust the squad. If you don't trust the squad, then buy better players. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Buy better players. Like, and I feel like these guys aren't trusted, so they're not going to play, which means just get better guys in. Get me a better centre half that can compete. Get a centre half in that can go toe to toe with Konate, because Konate will get injured. He will get injured. He's a player that has an injury of about 4 weeks where he misses maybe 10 games a season. It goes all the way back through his career. So get me a guy that can compete with them. Joe Gomez has been great, by the way. He's been great, but Slot doesn't rate him, and he won't play him again because he didn't play him in the first place. He didn't play him in the first place. It was Konate, and that's it. And he certainly didn't rate Quansah because he dragged Quansah off against Ipswich, and he never seen the light of day again. And unfortunately, sometimes that's just the way it is. Like, the manager doesn't rate players to play the competitive games. So get me some players that can play competitive games against them. And this is what we need. And this is the conversation we've had many, many times as fans. Like, we want players to push other players. And if the manager isn't playing them, then they're not being pushed, which means they can have poor games, just like Curtis Jones. And guess what? You go back into the squad again, mate. Nunes can have stinkers. Guess what? He gets started again. Diaz can have stinkers. He gets played again. Salah can have stinkers. Carry on playing you. Like, because you haven't got any players that you trust to replace them. So get them. Get them. I think Harvey Elliott could do a job as a 10. I've said this a long time. I think he's got it about him. I think Endo's not a bad backup for Gravenberch. I think Joe Gomez could do a great job as a left back. And then you got the likes of Robbo in rotation because he needs to be rested more because he shouldn't be playing anymore. And then you got Virgil van Dijk. You got no one to replace Virgil van Dijk. If Virgil van Dijk got an injury, we got nobody to replace him. Not a player there. Russell, you're absolutely right. They're all there, mate. Morello's there, Edison's there, and Mbuemo's there. They're all there. All those players are there. We can sign any of them, and they're all at clubs where we can get them. All at clubs that we can get them. Let me do a couple more shout-outs. Big up Wouter. Also, big up Michael. Big up Russell. Who else have we got? Big up Andrew. Any more? Big up Stephen. Cool. Like it says at the bottom, if you want your discussion to be read out live, drop us a super chat and I'll talk about it. Okay, so what I wanted to cover now. Okay, so I've gone through all of the players that Slot doesn't play. Okay, so he doesn't play these players. Okay. And that's just unfortunate. I mean, we can talk about Tyler Morton, James McConnell, Jaden Dans. We can talk about them, but there's just no point. He just doesn't. He's not going to play them. Okay, they're not going to get in the cup game. They might play against Accrington Stanley, who are like what in National League 2 or something. Like that's just it is what it is with them. Okay. Okay, so this is what we need. This is what I wanted to talk about as well. So there's a couple of players that we've been linked with, but I wanted to cover this one. Can we see this? Can we see my screen okay? Yeah, we can. All right, big up. Also, big up Liverpool 67. If there's anyone here who hasn't liked and subscribed, please hit the like and subscribe now. You don't need to subscribe, but please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Great to have you here. And just drop your name in the chat that you're subscribed, and we'll give you a welcome and a hello. Okay, so obviously we've got the David Ornstein bomber, but this is what I wanted to talk about. Here we go. So we've got 3 players. Yeah, so we've got 3 players in the squad that all play in the same position as Kvaratskhelia. Okay. Yeah. So you've got Kvaratskhelia, who's played. I don't know how many games he's played actually. I need to look at the amount of games he's played, which I'll do in a minute. But you've got the likes of Diaz and Cody that have both got 6 goals, 8 goals. Kvaratskhelia got 5 goals. And the conversion rate for Gakpo is 25, 29 for Diaz, 15 for Kvaratskhelia. Conversion rate's lower. And his shot accuracy is better than Cody's, but not as good as Diaz's. And then you've got shots on target, 17, 17, and 12, which means that Kvaratskhelia hitting the goalkeeper more, by the looks of it. But he's also playing in an Antonio Conte team, so you can imagine how defence-minded that is. And you've also got the likes of a McTominay and a Gilmore in midfield. Like, you've got a defensive-minded team in the Napoli team, and he also hasn't got his target man, which is Victor Osimhen. So he's having to do a lot of attacking himself. It's a really good point. Like, why are we obsessed with left wingers? I know it's just a mad thing at Liverpool right now. However, we talked about this on the Copish with Matt. Big up Matt, by the way. Great analysis. Could he be the number 10 replacement? Because there has been a lot of conversation around, does Dominic Szoboszlai do enough in the number 10 for us? And what I want to do is I want to show you Dom's numbers in the number 10 for us this season. And I don't want to talk about the goals and the assists. I want to talk about the other aspects of it. So if we look at, so he's played 17 games. Actually, can you see my screen? Sorry. Yeah, you can see my screen. Cool. Okay, so if you look at the numbers, you've got Dom, 17 start. He's 1,100 minutes. Like, that's the amount of game time Quansah got last season. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Like, he just doesn't rate players, doesn't want to play them. 2 goals, 2 assists. I mean, those numbers aren't bad for a midfielder. He's a number 10. He's there to connect the play. Like, so the expected goals he should have is 4. So if you look at those numbers, if Dom had 4 goals and 4 assists as a number 10, would you say that's acceptable? Just let me know in the chat, yes or no. So if Dom had 4 goals and 4 assists, which gives him 8 GA this season as our number 10, would you say that's enough? Or do you think he should have more? Because if we look at the numbers, the expected goals for him this season are actually 4 in the Premier League. So he's missed 2 really big chances, and we know what they were. One of them was Nottingham Forest, right in front of goal, where it came off the inside of the goalkeeper's leg. And the other one was against Manchester United, where he basically had an open goal. And I don't know what he was doing, but we know that one. We clearly know those 2 chances. So the expected goals are 4, and he's got 2. So if he got 4 goals and 2 assists, is that acceptable for the number 10? Because that's what we have to look at. We have to look at those numbers, because he's playing in the number 10 position. So he's playing in the number 10 position. I mean, did he play in the number 10 position for Leipzig because he got 6 goals? And he got 6 goals the season before that. So he's not a high goal scorer, but he does score goals. But he also takes free kicks. He doesn't take any free kicks for Liverpool. Does he take free kicks? He does take free kicks. Oh, he took 7 free kicks last season. I don't remember him taking any. But he's took 1 free kick for us, which had a -2, so it was shit. But he's only had 26 shots and 8 shots on target. And his shot to target conversions, 30%. So it's not great. But then you also look at his passing, his expected assists. So this season, he should have 3 assists, but he's only got 1. So he's only got 2. Sorry. So he's 2 goals missing and he's 1 assist out, which puts him on 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 GA. Is 7 GA enough for our number 10? Because these are the numbers. Because this is the data I look at. So if 7 GA is enough for our number 10, then do we need Kvaratskhelia? Because Kvaratskhelia has only got, hang on, what am I looking at? This one here. Because Kvaratskhelia has only got, he's got 5 goals. I need to look at how many assists he's got. Does anyone know how many assists Kvaratskhelia got this season? Can someone have a look how many assists he's got? Because Dom should have 4. Kvaratskhelia is on 5, but he plays as a winger, which means he's probably closer to the goal in some areas. But Dom's also close to the goal in quite a lot of games because he plays as a number 10. 3 assists. Okay, so Kvaratskhelia is on 5, 6, 7, 8. He's on 8 GA. Dom, if he'd scored those 2 goals because of his expected goals and his expected assists is 3, then he would be on 7. There's not that much difference. But do you think Kvaratskhelia in the 10 could get us more goals and could get more assists? So let me look at his numbers here. 2 seconds. Let me look at Kava. I think he's saved. Yeah, he's saved. Okay. So let's have a look at Kvaratskhelia. Okay, so let's have a look at Kvaratskhelia here. Okay, so he's got 8 GA, expected goals 4, which means he scored 1 goal, which he shouldn't have. Okay, so he's actually ahead in his goals. Okay, so he's played 1,178, same as Dom, no different there. Let's have a look. Expected assists 3 expected assists, and he's got 3. So he's no different. Okay, so Kvaratskhelia is just as good as his numbers. His shot to target ratio is better than Dom's. It's 32%. And he's had more shots, but he's had more shots on target. So is that an improvement on what we've got currently? We also have to look at how involved is he in the game. Well, his attempted passes 460, doesn't pass the ball as much, but that would change when he's in Liverpool because we'll have more possession, which means we play with the ball a lot more. Does he take free kicks? Yes, he does. He also takes penalties. So he takes free kicks and penalties. So that's another option that we've got. He hardly ever gets booked. He actually scored the penalty. So one of his goals was a penalty. So he's only got 4 goals from open play, where Dom's got 2 from open play. So I would think Kvaratskhelia in the 10 could do a better job than Dom. So then we have to look at, well, what would Dom do if we moved him back into midfield in the number 8 position? Well, his physicality is unreal. His work rate is off the scale. What's his passion? What's his passing like? Let's have a look at Dom's passing capability. Let's have a look at Dom on the ball. What's Dom like on the ball with his passing? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at those numbers. So his pass completion is 85%. So everyone who says that Dom isn't great passing the ball I'm not sure what game you're watching, because in the short, he's nearly 90%, and in the medium, he's 88%, and his long balls are actually better than Trent's. So anyone who gives that conversation about Dom gives the ball away, no, he doesn't. And the numbers don't lie. The data does not lie. Like, the data doesn't lie. I always read the data. Okay? Dom doesn't give the ball away. Dom is a great player on the ball. So let's have a look at his tackling. What's Dom like with winning the ball back? Can he be that guy that can give us the stability in midfield? Well, yeah, he can. It's 41% tackle ratio. I'm not making these numbers up. 41% in challenges. Like, he is a very, very good player. 22 blocks. Tackle and interceptions, 21 in total. No errors. No errors leading to a shot. I think we can have that conversation about playing Dom in midfield. Like, maybe Dom could rotate with McAllister. Or maybe Dom could rotate with Gravenberch. And then Gravenberch can rotate with McAllister. Like, we have the options there. So maybe getting an extra man who can play in the 10 position that isn't Curtis Jones, because he's not great. He's not great in the 10. Then maybe that is an option. So Kvaratskhelia could be not a left winger, but the number 10 for Liverpool. And we could be looking at this the wrong way. We could all be looking at Kvaratskhelia going, oh, he's going to come in and go on the left side. Well, maybe he doesn't come in and go on the left side. Maybe he comes in and he goes on in the number 10 position. And helps and gives us that relief in midfield where we can rotate more players. And then Jones can rotate with McAllister, and Dominic Szoboszlai can rotate with Gravenberch. And that gives us the stability to be able to play players and trust the players that we've got as the backup. And Kvaratskhelia can play in the number 10. And for me, I think that works fine. I think that works fine. I think he's looking for 150,000 because he's on 40,000. So I think he's looking for 150,000. I also want to show you this on him as well, which isn't like a Debbie Downer, but this is something that we need to also look at. So Kvaratskhelia already said his dream club, and his dream club, £1 million question in the chat. What is the dream club that Kvaratskhelia would like to play for? Go on, write it in the chat. If you write it in the chat, I'll give you a shout out. Who is the dream club that Kvaratskhelia wants to play for? Yep. 100%. Real Madrid. Real Madrid is his dream club, just like everybody else by the looks of it. I'll ask you this question. Do you think Kvaratskhelia got a better chance of going to Real Madrid if he signs for Liverpool than if he signs for PSG? Because the French league is a farmers' league. Like, even Ronaldo said it recently. He's got more chance of going to Real Madrid if he signs for Liverpool, because he could go at the end of his current deal with Liverpool. We'll sell him on. Like, there's no reason why we wouldn't sell him on when he's 27. Like, he's 23 now. If we got 4 years out of him, he could go to Real Madrid when he's 27, 28. Absolutely. Absolutely, he could go there. Absolutely. So I think it's got legs. I do think this deal's got legs. And you also have to look at the fact that we have just signed Mamadashvili, who's also Georgian. So he's going to be having conversations with Mamadashvili saying, well, are you really excited about going to Liverpool? And Mamadashvili's like, yeah, I can't wait. Like, I'm going to go and take Alisson's spot. Like, I'm going to be like the first choice goalkeeper for Liverpool for like the next 5-10 years. He's the same age. Like, they can both play for Liverpool. They're both 23, 24. They're both Georgian stars. They're both on the next level. Like, just like McAllister was at Brighton. Like, they won things. They've been great for years. They're ready for the next level. We got Mamadashvili. We could get Kvaratskhelia. And they're both ready to go. Next season would be stellar with those two in the team. Even if we got them in January. This could be a player that we were going to get in the summer and we were going to sell Luis Diaz and he was going to replace him. This could have been something that we've talked about. This could have been a conversation that was had after Luis Diaz turned down his contract like 3 times. And Barcelona came sniffing around him. And we could have gone, okay, we earmark Kvaratskhelia at the end of the year because his contract will be another 6 months down. He's refusing to sign a contract. This is a guy we'll go and get for like 50 million. We'll throw 50 million at them because we'll have the money for Diaz. This could be something that was earmarked. Just like Diaz was, but we signed Diaz early because Tottenham were coming in for him and we had to go. And he was someone that was there was a transfer window away, but we had to go early because someone was coming in for him in Tottenham. This could be exactly the same with Kvaratskhelia. And it's come up and we've got to make a move. And PSG are all over it. And we've gone, well, hang on a minute. He's one of our targets for next year, but we'll go early. I have no doubt that could be a conversation that's happening. I have no doubt that could be a conversation that's happening. We also have to look at another player as well. And we have to talk about the fact that opportunist, it was mentioned on many, many media outlets that Liverpool would look at opportunist signings. And this is another one which has come up. It's another one that's come up. And look, I know he's on a lot of money. But it's another player that's just come up. And it's Joshua Kimmich. Like, look, I don't want him to leave because he's one of our own. But if Trent walks out the door on a free transfer, because let's be honest, he's done absolutely everything that Real Madrid want you to do. He's done it all. He's not renewed his contract. He's not talked about it. He's gone on so many channels and talked about Ballon d'Ors and legacies, and he's made it blatantly obvious that he's really good friends with Jude Bellingham. Look, at the end of the day, if you're going to replace Trent with another guy, Joshua Kimmich is that guy. He can do absolutely everything Trent does, but he's a better defender. He's won more trophies. He's won 20 trophies. He's got more goals. He's got more assists. He's played less games. Joshua Kimmich is a stellar player. And the fact that Alphonso Davies is on the verge of signing a new contract with Bayern Munich means that Kimmich is definitely one that we can look at. But he's also one that Real Madrid will be looking at. he is a player that could play right back and defensive midfield, and to a very, very high standard. You haven't got a Trent in midfield. You've got a Kimmich in midfield. If you've got a Kimmich in midfield, you've got a top defensive midfielder who's played it many, many times. That is an incredible signing if we could make that happen. And I know he's 29. But he could be available on a free transfer at the end of the season, or he could be available at a cheap cost. It really is. Look, the wages are the wages. Mo Salah's on 350. If Kimmich wants 300, we pay him 300. We'll sign him on a 3-year contract. We'd have him till he's 32. He'll be the same as Mo, same as Virgil. And maybe he'll want to go to Saudi then. I don't know. But that is an outstanding player that is available. And if you're going to replace Trent, you can replace him with a guy that can do everything that Trent can do, but he can also do it in defensive midfield. Can't argue. He's never injured either. He's not a Thiago. He's not a Thiago. Thiago was a player that was on his way out, and that's why Bayern cashed in. And Thiago's got a horrendous injury record. Have you looked at the amount of injuries Thiago had in Barcelona? He barely played any football. He was there for donkey's years. He was a walking medical table. Kimmich is never injured. Kimmich has played he's played like 400 games. Quality player. Really is a sensational player who can play in multi-positions. He can play centre-back, he can play right-back, he can play defensive midfield, he can play centre midfield. I'm pretty sure he can play left-back. He's a utility player. He's basically like getting a James Milner again. But he could be the Trent replacement. Or he could come in and go where Gravenberch plays. Depending on how Slot wants to play. He's your guy. And he's a free transfer. He's literally a free transfer. You'd be mad not to go for him. Look, I don't want to say it but it looks like Man City are getting relegated. It looks like the points deduction they're going to get will relegate them. I know they won't be relegated, but it looks like the points deduction they're getting is going to put them down. I have no doubt. They're getting a huge points reduction. I don't think Kimmich is. That's why they're looking at young players. That's why Man City are linked with 3 players. One's 18, one's 20, and the other one's 15 or 16. Man City are linked with loads of young players. They're not going to get Mamouche. Mamouche is 80 million. They're not signing Mamouche for 80 million. They're just not. They're not going to invest that much money into players because they're probably going to go down and they're going to have to take them back up. Anyway, that's how I feel about Kimmich. And there's another guy as well that could be available. It looks like he's being put up for sale. It looks like we had a £41 million bid rejected recently. And it's Tchouaméni. Look, I understand Aurelio Tchouaméni's had a few injuries. I understand that. But he's 24 years old. He's a guy that's played for Real Madrid and won everything. He's played for France. He's won everything. He was a guy that was destined for great things. I just feel that it's just not worked out at Real Madrid. He's been played as a centre-back most of the time. He's been throwing in games all over the place. he's been played when he was injured because they needed to play him. I think he's been flogged. I think he's been used in wrong positions. I think he needs a bit of stability. Look, if Real Madrid want Trent, then we could happily take him off their hands, and Trent could go the other way. Like, if they really want Trent that much, and this guy's up for sale, and he's 24. Like, he's 24, and he is a phenomenal player. Injuries or not, he is a phenomenal player, and I think he's worth it. I think he's genuinely worth the risk. I just do. Like, it's Aurelio Tchouameni, like French international, World Cup winner, everything, like all day long. Like, if we'd had him in our team last season, we'd have probably won the league. Like, he's that good. He's that good. He's about 20% better than Caicedo. He's about 20% better than Gravenberch. Like, he just is. He's that good. There's only a few players that are better than him. You've got Rodriguez, you've got Camavinga. I think Camavinga is an incredible player. I really do. There's a few players that are better than him. Not many. I think he's top draw. And if he's available for 41 million, there's a deal to be done. There is a deal to be done there. If we've been chasing him for that long, and this isn't just Jurgen, this is the committee. If we've been chasing him that long, then kick the tires on it. It's worth kicking the tires on. It's worth asking the question. Look, you want Trent? We'll give you Trent. Can we take Tchouameni? Like, Tchouameni's not happy. He's being played out of position. He's not. He's a bit part player now. Like, you know, sometimes the face don't fit with Carlo. Sometimes the face don't fit, and maybe Tchouameni's isn't. So I feel like that could be one we could look at. Is there any other news I wanted to give you? I'm actually just going to refresh my screen, just because the Liverpool Echo is reporting. Oh, okay. I've got some other news for the left back. Okay, so I'm going to share my tab. We might have to go early on a few players, by the way. We could sign 3 or 4 players in this window, and it's because other teams are going to get them. And if we are really interested in Kerkez, which I think we are, because Bournemouth have just signed a player to replace him in Carlos Solar, who we were linked with as well, by the way. But he's never good enough for Liverpool. He needs to go to a club and play some games, and they need to be the ones that test him out. But if we are genuinely looking at Kerkez, then we need to make a move this month, because Manchester United are really interested in him. And we've been told that Man United are strong competition for him, and we don't like Manchester United. We don't like United nicking players that we earmarked ourselves. So I would watch that one, because that one is something that might happen. According to iPaper, which is a Bournemouth publication, they're unlikely to allow Kerkez to leave the club during the transfer window. The report claims that the Cherries believe Kerkez is one of the sought-out players in the Premier League, alongside teammates Soriano, Zabani. Dean Hoyston is one that I would snap up. Like, Like, we need to have conversations about him as well, because I think that Dean Huijsen could be Virgil van Dijk's successor. And I know that's wild. I know that's a wild one. But it's not a coincidence that Bournemouth now look so much better defensively now that Dean Huijsen has come into the team. He's also got like 4 goals, and he's like 19 from a centre back. Like, he looks like a absolute star in the making. Like, I feel like he could be a Virgil van Dijk successor. I really do. He could be a guy we go and get for like 30 million next season in the summer, and then send them out on loan to like Dortmund or even back to Bournemouth, and let him play some games. And then in a year or two, he can then just come in and replace Virgil. I think he's an absolute monster. He's tall. He's great in the air. He's great on the ball. He's strong. He's got a real brain as well, where he doesn't have to do a huge amount of running, doesn't rely on his pace. He looks like a special player. And they got him for like 15 million or something from Juventus. That's wild. Like, I think he's also got a Spanish passport, which means he'll probably end up being a Spanish international. But he's also Dutch as well. He cost Bournemouth 18 million. I think you can probably get him for 40. I think he's worth it. Like, I genuinely do, Russell. I think he's a really good player. I think he's a little bit like Lenny Yoro. I just think he's just a really highly developed player. He's better than Kwanzaa. I think he's better than Kwanzaa right now. He's better on the ball. He's better on the ball than Kwanzaa. And his middle name is Donny. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream now. The only thing is with him, I just think he's going to cost like 80 million or something daft like that, because they just want mental money. Look, the thing about Kwanzaa, if we're all honest, like, he's a young player. He's a young player that hasn't played enough football. Like, he needs more game time. Like, he needs to play more games. Like, Slot doesn't trust him, so send him out on loan or sell him to Newcastle. Like, Newcastle were willing to swap you Gordon or Isak for Kwanzaa, and you turned it down. Like, how bad a decision is that now that you look about it in the grand scheme of things? Now that you've got Isak, who's basically on as many goals as he's played Premier League games, like, Isak is the real deal. Like, I mean, like, I think it was Don Hutchinson said, if he was Liverpool, he'd sell Doak, Nunez, and Diaz to fund Isak. That's what he said he'd do. He'd sell all of those players to fund Isak. I don't think he's the real deal, unfortunately. I just don't think he's the real deal. But he's a good player, but I don't think he's the real deal. He hasn't done enough for me. I think we get him for 120. I think we get him for 120. And he cost an insane amount of money. I understand that. But they want Joe Gomez. I mean, they need a goalkeeper. You could throw them Gomez, Keller, and Nunez. And what, another 30 million? Like, are we going to miss those 3 players? Gomez, who clearly isn't rated by the manager. Keller, who wants to leave. And then the likes of Nunez, who can't hit the back of a barn door. And you replace him with Isak, who gets you 30 goals a season in our team. Clinical, brilliant at holding up play, brilliant at interchanging, fantastic at passing. He's like a young Harry Kane. He is absolutely unbelievable. He is the real deal. He is also the guy that our committee wanted before we signed Nunez. Just make that clear. He was the guy that the committee wanted to sign from Spain, but Klopp wanted Nunes. You get what you fucking pay for. Like, you know, you don't do the data and you end up looking at other players and being wowed by them because they have a good game against you. And then you end up with a donkey, and the other guy gets away, goes to Newcastle for less than you pay for your donkey, and look who's ripping it up. And look who everyone wants now. Oh, it's Isak. I don't think he is. Sorry. Don't think he is. I think he's going to be another Nunes. Don't think he is. His injuries haven't been bad lately, and he played a lot of games last season. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put this myth to bed. Sorry, Spider. I'm sorry you're the one that's going to suffer on this one. But I'm going to put this to bed because the whole Isak's always injured conversation really needs to stop. Look at those numbers, man. Jesus. Yeah, the whole Isak's injured all the time does need to stop. Okay. He played. Okay. I'm really sorry, Spider. It's you who's getting shouted out on this one, mate. Okay, Isak played 30 games last season, and he played 18 games this season, which is every game, by the way. He got 21 goals in the Premier League last season. He got 13 in 18 so far, and he got 10 in 22 the season before. Look, we need to stop the Isak's always injured conversation because he's not. He played 32 in La Liga. 32 the season before Newcastle bought him, and then he played 34, and then he played 37. Isak's not an injury-prone player. He's had one major injury at Newcastle. It's a fact, mate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry it had to be you, mate. But he's just not. He's not an injury-prone player. He's had one big injury. I think he's had two big injuries, which put him out for a few months. But he's just not he's not injury-prone. Like, everyone thinks he's injury-prone, but he's just not. No, that's Premier League, mate. That's Premier League. We don't play 60 Premier League games. We play 38. Like, he played 30 Premier League games last season. Like, so he missed 8 games. Well, he might have missed 8 games because he wasn't injured. He might have just not played 8 games. So this injury thing is a myth. It's a myth. So let's just put that one to bed. And his numbers are just insane. And he just gets. It feels like he gets better. Feels like he's getting better. And he's still only 25. Is he 25? He's 25. He's absolutely unbelievable. I think he's worth it. Look, is it not worth kicking the tires and throwing 100 million at them? Is it not worth trying it? Is it not? I know they won 150, but is it not worth going? Look, here's 80 million cash, and you can have Quansah, or 80 million cash, and you can have Nunes to replace him, or 80 million cash, and you've got Joey Gomez, like, as well, or Queven Keller. Like, is it not worth trying 80 million and throwing a player in as well? Like, you know, Queven Keller's rated at what, 25 million? Nunes is rated at 50. You know, Gomez is rated at what, 35? And then Quansah is rated at what, 30? Like, is it not worth trying it? Because I feel like Isak is the guy which Slot could cook with, could just cook. Like you're basically getting a Harry Kane regen at the age of 25. Like, and his numbers are insane. His shot accuracy is phenomenal. Like, I just think that that's one which could really, really make the difference. Like, that's the one that could get you over the line. Like, you don't rely on Salah all the time. You've got Isak. Like, Do you think those 32 big chances that Núñez missed last season that Salah put into him, how many of them do you think Isak scores? How many of them do you think Isak scores? I think Isak scores 20 of those. Like, I think Isak scores 20, maybe 25. Like, monstrosity, like just clinical. Let's have a look at his numbers. Look at the expected goals, 11, and he's got 13. I mean, he's 25, man. I mean, we signed. I think we signed Salah when he was 25. Like, it's astounding. Seriously, like. Okay, so what's his shot? What's his shots? Have a look at his shooting. 45%. 45% shots on target. What's his conversion? His conversion is where's his conversion? Sorry, where's his conversion? Where do I see that? He's almost played as much game time as Mo Salah, by the way. I'm just putting that out there. Where's his shot conversion? Is that it? Is that a shot conversion? I think it is. Wow, that is outrageous. I mean, 74% pass completion, and you're a forward, is really good as well, by the way. That's really good. Those numbers are really good. Where's his conversion numbers? I think that is it. I think 45%. I mean, what more do you want to know? Like, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. He doesn't take penalties either, by the way. I mean, there's not a lot more I can say. So I think Kvaratskhelia definitely something we're looking at. He's on low wages. We could get him for probably about 60 million, I think. Maybe 70. 65 to 70, I think we'll probably get him. If we throw in Chiesa, I think that's good enough, or even Núñez, I think that's good enough. I think he is the replacement for Diaz, but Diaz hasn't gone yet. But obviously we know that Barcelona want him, so we'll probably sell him because his stock's high and he's only got 2 years left on his contract and he's not renewing. So I think that could happen. I think Liverpool may well have been looking at him this season for the end of the window, for next window. But because PSG are all in, I think we're going to go and get that. Yeah, I don't think he has. He's got two. He's got 2 this season. And who knows what else? Tchouameni could be there. There's possibilities everywhere. And like I talked about at the start of the video, if you haven't watched it back, I talked about squad rotation and the fact that Slot does not rate the rest of his team. He likes 14 players and the rest he won't touch. And I feel it's a problem. And I think he needs to sell some squad players and he needs to replace them with players that he trusts, because he doesn't trust them. And I'm going to end the show on that. Big up everyone. Big thanks to the super chats, to Introvert Audio and Lee. Thanks for the super chats. I'm going to do another show in a couple of days. And yeah, if you want to fire me any questions over, I'm going to do a question and answers on the next show. If you got any questions, pop them in the super chat, and also write Q, so I know it's a question, and we'll go through all of those. Instead of 2 months ago, Chiesa is a cheap make weight. Look, I wanted Chiesa to work, mate, but it looks like he might be homesick, and if he's going to get us Kvaratskhelia, what a signing that was then, wasn't it? Okay, I'm out of here. Big up the Reds, and big up everyone that tuned in. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. If you want to leave a comment, please do, and I'll try and get back to you. And I will catch you later. Peace.
No one knows me like you. Love the way you do. Just hold me tight. No words I needed.